The Internet of Things really is about having a sensor or a device or an asset that is sending data somewhere, and then humans or other automated processes can make sense of that and do something with it. But often you'll need to not only get data from an asset, but you'll also need to actually manage the system of the asset. And typically, when you need to reach back into the asset, you're using a technology like VPN or something like that allows you to securely connect back into a facility or to a piece of equipment. And so while the Internet of Things is mostly from the sensor or the asset out to a server, and that was ExoSight, I started Diode while at ExoSight in order to facilitate very secure communications that initiated from a person or from an autonomous agent and allow that person or agent to be able to, or other devices to be able to reach back into a piece of equipment or a facility to configure those things. And so those are two different things. And Diode is focused really on enabling that inbound secure communication.
Why don't you walk us through a little bit of how diode works and how it's different than the typical like VPN solution and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the traditional way to enable remote connectivity to a facility or an asset is to enable a VPN connection to that. Both sides will typically have some sort of keys that enables them to establish a connection, and then the IT network engineering task really is to enable those each of those sides to see each other, right? So they can actually establish a tunnel and begin connecting. And so that's the traditional state of VPN that's been there for 30 or so years. The problem with traditional VPN that pretty much everybody in the industry knows about today is number one, you have to open ports in a firewall to enable those connections to be established. And number two, you have to tell all of the parties involved who is allowed connecting to them, right? And so you have to then configure, it's a multiple system configuration required to manage traditional VPN. And so there's this capability called zero trust networking that was introduced. And zero trust networking, yeah, introduces this idea of a bridging server. And the bridging server sits somewhere that is publicly accessible so that each side can connect into the bridging server, and the bridging server can just securely connect those things.